Get the door, they shouted. Come on, more pressure, push for fuck's sake. Go on, kiddo, we're in. Here, pass the saw, rapid. Go on, done. Quick, hurry. Got 'em. Come on, let's go. Come on, rapid. Throw 'em in the boot. Move then, done, let's go, kiddo. Lads, everyone do your job right and fast, said a 22-stone villain wearing a balaclava, his piercing blue eyes full of menace. Next, one of the gang members began cutting into the back of the cash point machine with a huge steel saw. Then the man with the blue eyes used the jaws of life to pry the back door of the cash point open, giving access inside. 10 seconds later, the back door was off and another member pried out the cash boxes. They repeated the same process on the second machine and collected another 3 boxes. The largest gang member, the one with the menacing eyes controlling the jaws of life, shouted, "Come on then boys, let's fuck off." Just as quickly and professionally as they had entered, the gang made their exit. The next day, a farmer found empty cash boxes scattered in his field with a couple of quid left lying on the grass. Cash-wise, nothing substantial. As you'd expect, 98% of the money was gone. But the boxes themselves, used to hold the cash inside the machines, were a valuable find. Maybe they would hold DNA from the offenders. Maybe the gang had let their guard down after the ATM raid. Unfortunately for the police, the boxes were forensically tested and came back completely clean. No DNA at all. Clearly, this gang was forensically aware and well versed in police procedures. The investigation started slowly as there were no leads. Detectives believed the criminals had come from further afield and targeted Cumbria precisely because it was a quiet area with little organised crime. Professional, violent gangs like the Jaws of Life crew were nothing Cumbria had seen before. Just 24 hours after the first robbery, the emergency room received a flurry of calls, reports of a balaclava-clad gang running into a smoky Spar convenience store. Witnesses said they saw large men in masks breaking through the side security doors. It was the second burglary in 24 hours. Clearly, the gang was on a spree and needed to be stopped. CCTV confirmed it was the same crew. Even without footage, the identical modus operandi made it obvious who was responsible. This time, though, things didn't go to plan. The back of the cash point wasn't exposed enough to access the trays, forcing the gang to flee empty-handed. With so many 999 calls flooding in, most of the force was racing toward the Spar. No wonder the robbers didn't hang around. Then came the big break. A sharp-eyed traffic officer leaving Cumbria Police HQ noticed a recovery truck turning at a junction. On the back was a car, mostly covered, but not enough. The officer caught sight of just enough detail to believe it was a wanted vehicle and pulled the driver over. It was surprising that after being so careful, the gang suddenly got sloppy. They hadn't properly secured the car cover, no bungee cords, no hooks, and left the vehicle too visible for passing motorists, a schoolboy error that landed him in trouble. You'd think, given how organised they were, one of them would have picked up a £5 pack of bungee cords. Danny Hickenbottom was arrested at the side of the road. Police said his car was stolen and already on the back of the recovery truck. When they searched the cabin, officers found £4,000 in cash. He was then arrested again, this time on suspicion of burglary and for possessing the stolen RS3. During his interview, Hickenbottom gave a no comment, as expected, but the damage was done. Police had seized his phone, filled with photos and videos, a goldmine of evidence. One of the videos showed Hickenbottom in Cumbria directing the gang to a safe house. As the camera panned across the driveway, there was the stolen RS3 sitting proudly at the stash house. Detectives quickly identified the property using Google Maps, tracked down the address and raided the hideaway. Inside, the gang had cleaned everything meticulously. Laundry done, surfaces wiped, spotless. It looked like a dead end until one officer checked the outside bin. Bingo! In that bin, among other items, was a McDonald's receipt with a date and car registration number. Investigators seized CCTV from the local McDonald's and matched the receipt to the vehicle that went through the drive-through. The painstaking process paid off. A familiar face appeared, none other than Craig Howe, a lifelong organised criminal from Eldridge in the West Midlands. An officer recognised Howe immediately from previous cases. The police now had 2 names, Danny Hickenbottom and Craig Howe. They didn't move on Howe straight away though. An early arrest could have tipped off the rest of the gang. Instead, they ran Howe's registration through ANPR systems and discovered he'd dropped off 2 unknown males, potentially the the other gang members. Carefully reviewing train station CCTV, officers identified another suspect, the infamous Noel Riley. 20 stone and muscle, piercing blue eyes, shaved head, a certified armed robber. Shockingly, he was dressed smartly in a checked work shirt, blending in like an office worker. Noel Riley's West Midlands ties added serious weight to the case. Further CCTV revealed the final gang member, Simon Paget, recognised by an officer who had arrested him before. So, who says crime pays? Not me. I used to think otherwise, but with age, you realise distance from crime and trouble is better for your life all round. The police now had all 4 members. It was time for synchronised early morning raids. Everything went without an hitch. All suspects were taken quietly, no drama. As you'd expect, these were seasoned criminals, not loud, mouthy street thugs. The raids caused noise and property damage, but the police seized all electronic devices from each home. Unfortunately for Craig Howe, the jaws of life was found in his garden shed. Explaining that would be difficult. Each suspect gave a no-comment interview, just as the police expected. While the men were in custody, investigators sifted through rubbish bags from the Cumbria Rideaway. Inside the property, everything was immaculate, but outside, one black bag of rubbish had been left behind. After being so careful forensically, failing to dispose of that bag properly turned out to be their undoing. Searching through phones, investigators found photos from stag do's, holidays and race days, proving the men were associates. Even more incriminating was a voice note from Noel Riley saying if they had fake passports, they could just fly around Europe doing them. Bold words from the big man. Then came another breakthrough. As forensic officers examined the rubbish, they recovered a clothing tag, a Red Bull can and a Cherry Coke can. DNA testing was fast-tracked, and eventually Noel Riley and Simon Paget's DNA was found on a Coke can and a crisp packet. If only the gang had taken the rubbish with them, they might have got away with it, but the evidence sealed the case. Combined with cell site data, images and phone audio, Riley and Paget's DNA on the disposed rubbish was the final nail in the coffin. All 4 suspects were charged and remanded to prison. They were fast-tracked to Wolverhampton Crown Court. Police recovered £108,000 in cash, but £550,000 remains unrecovered and likely gone forever. Noel Riley and Simon Paget made early guilty pleas and each got 8.5 years. Craig Howe went not guilty, took it to trial and got 10 years. Finally, Danny Hickenbottom, the recovery truck driver with the stolen RS3 and £4,000 in unexplained cash, pleaded guilty up front and received 3.5 years. When you do the maths, crime doesn't pay, at least not in my opinion. If you've made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Take care, see you next time.